yeah. I just did this as a experiment, so it's still puddled up and wet down here. And that's the thing about this paper, it doesn't dry, so we might have to do 2 paintings.
Mineral paper takes a long time to dry?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Is that the same with hard press? Does hard press take a long time to dry as well?
The hot press won't take as long to dry, and you'll still get good puddly effects.
Okay.
So if you have hot press, I would use that. If you don't have either, just paint the same way, you know, on regular.
But the difference between hot press and cold press is that the paint puddles a little bit more with the hot press?
Yes, the hot press will resist absorbing.
Okay.
And so you'll get the puddleization.
Okay. So the hot press is smoother than the cold press?
Yes.
And then the mineral paper is like really slick.
Really smooth. And then what Julie's using is called yupo. That's probably I mean, there's actually slicker things.
Okay.
Yupo is just plastic that's got an etch to it, so it's got a little bit of a tooth to it, and it grabs, but it doesn't really absorb. Really, what happens is that the paint just dries on there. It doesn't really absorb the paint.
Yeah, that's what's weird about it, because I tried it before, and it was really hard to deal with because, you know, normally you can layer, you can do other things, but anytime it gets wet, it just dissolves again wherever you, you know, like it doesn't stick at all. It just kind of, maybe there's a way to layer on it that I don't know, but
there is. It's just very time consuming. The way to do it is to do like 3 at the same time, and just let them completely dry. If you're gonna glaze, then you let it totally dry, which may take hours, and then you can glaze on it. But so it's not as fast, but you get these beautiful effects. So today might be frustrating in that sense.
Okay.
It doesn't dry as fast.
Maybe I'll do one of each side by side, regular paper and yupo, and see what happens.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. So if anybody wants to do that, how about we do a little value study here? And I'll zoom in.
Okay, turning video off. Bye.
Bye-bye. Oops. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we have some land. I'm not even sure it's worth drawing it all out. That's about all I do. Try some ultramarine blue in the background. Right? I go right over the trees, probably. Yeah. Some cloudy things going on in there, so we can. I'll unmute you. Oh, I mean, I'm muted. Okay, and then a little lower, a little less down there. And then, you know, that you have the shadow on the foreground there. I mean, it's a little more violet. Than the sky. So let's something a little more violet, it's a little darker than the sky. We've got this piece of land right here, which has that yellow burst of light on it. And I'm working a little bit looser, so I think for the shadow, I'll start off with this one, Prussian blue and cad yellow, and maybe a little cad red. Cad yellow. See how that works. And maybe a touch of cad red in there. And I think these trees are kind of coming out into the light. So the top of this is actually catching light. So I probably could have maybe hit that a little bit lighter. I'll come back. I just dabbed that with the towel. Now I'll leave that, let it dry, and come back with something lighter on it. We have the dead tree here. I know these two are very similar to the same size, so I'm going to make a little bit different size. And I'm using, I used literally the same colors, but I added more orange to it. So more red and yellow. And then it gets a little lighter up here toward the top too. So I'm gonna go ahead and just hit that a little lighter. Maybe come back down here and hit that a little darker by adding a touch more blue. It's kind of getting away from me. Which is sort of the idea today. Let it get away from you. We don't always, I know I teach you control so much, but how about today we let it get out of control and see what happens? Because this is usually when the good stuff happens. They get a lot of red in them, these trees. Two of them coming up here. A lot smaller. I'm going to take that Prussian blue, cad yellow, and cad red. And they do get a bit lighter up here in the top. Yellows and greens and oranges in there. Oh, I went right for the color, didn't I? I'm sorry. I thought I was going to do a value study. Oh gosh. Here I go again. My head's always in color. And I thought I was so like Johnny on the spot this morning with I did my morning constitutional. Oh well, always an artist, I guess. Okay, now I mean, kind of did do a value study, didn't we? I'll make some of the shadow over here. Got a couple little You get a little redder in there. It's kind of nice when you have something like this going into the light. I'll dab it in the light, and I'll come back and hit a little warmth on that. Have some of these things. Same here. Just dab some things as they come into the light. Makes it feel more like shadow. A little bit more over there. We could seriously be doing some dabbing today. I don't know, maybe not. We'll see. Here's some of the warm things up there on the top, and then just let it go into shadow. These are really mostly in light. We can take more, add more of the Prussian blue, and then on the right sides and the bottoms of things, that's where you're going to catch some on the bottoms, in the bottom, on the right side. Here, that's where you're going to catch little, on the right sides of your trees. Not everywhere, but they're there. We do get a few little silhouettes. It's kind of neat looking. Add a little warmth to that. And even a little warmth to your snow. Just a little. That's a lot. I like it though. I think I'll leave it there as a color note. So I really want that burst of light coming through there. All right. Let's do a value study. So draw it out if you need to. You don't really necessarily have to on something like this. That got kind of high on me. I'll keep that one down low. I'll let the dominant one be this. And then let the lesser one be over here. That's all I do for a drawing. But I'd love to go out to like the Sierras or even our mountains here. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff. It's mostly just about getting that right positioning. You know, now what we could do as a strategy on this paper, we could do the foreground first and then do the sky last. I'm just wondering if that might help. Anyway. Now, no color now. I mean, just any color you like. But I'm just wondering as a strategy, I'm going to go ahead and do this and then throw the sky in last. I'm not sure if that's actually the better way to do it, but. I think it's pretty darn dark in some of the shadows and underneath. Maybe a little lighter up here. Put maybe some more negative shapes in there too. The dead ones give great negative shapes. So it's our dominant one here. We started off with the lighter things. Be sure to leave a lot of sky, like I didn't do right here. Oh, and a lot more tree trunk here, huh? They're very light in comparison to the tree. I guess the lights on them are about the same value as the lights on here. Yeah, they're just redder. We have a couple over here. One that's basically lost in there. If you notice, if you can think of it like this, as I put down my strokes, I'm doing this, but obviously not literally like that, or it's going to look kind of goofy. So, but I follow a pattern because if you look at the tree, it's doing a lot of that. I mean, they might go downward like this, but then they sort of tip up usually. And it looks like toward the bottom, they really kind of just go down, don't they? So every tree is different, and I usually just sort of basically follow the tree, but I'm making a movement like that, trying to leave a lot of negative little gaps in there, and so it looks a little bit more naturalistical. Naturalistical, I can't say it. I'm trying to make new words again. Okay. Not having very much success. A few dark ones in there. A few dark shadows. They're going to be off to the right side. And occasionally you get underneath one or two here and there.
Hey Rob, when you're using mineral paper or yupo paper, do you ever use any kind of like resist, like water or that glue or anything like that? Or
I don't, but sure could. I mean, you could use wax resist. You could use what do you call that stuff? Liquid paper, they used to call it.
I don't know. I was just wondering if that, because it's so different anyway, the way that it doesn't absorb in.
Right. I mean, I don't like using any kind of resist thing usually. I've tried it and it just seems so technical, but there may be instances to use it, definitely.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just curious because I don't use it much either, but I have some, and I was just curious about the.
Oh, play with it, yeah. Sure. Yeah, I've definitely played with it. I always wondered what the big deal was, and I just never grew to like it very much. Same thing with a lot of people like to use mediums in their paint, a lot of extenders and dryers, and I have every one in the book. I have them all, and they're all sitting there waiting to be used. I use them, and then I just go, what do I need this for? If I want to extend my paint, I just add a little terp if I'm using oils. If I want to put, and I have used dryer when I used to do commercial jobs quite a bit. I would use dryer. So some of these darks in the light, I'll just kind of do like that. And then as they come into the shadow, I'll hit them a little darker. Some of those come up there too, don't they? More like that. So that light probably comes up a little bit higher. All right, so as this comes into the shadow, you know, maybe get some of that and then all this. I mean, because I was always, I mean, I really got caught on to the thick paint, so the extenders. Now, I will use a thickening agent in my oil paints. I use it's called oleoplasto or something like that. Winsor Newton makes it, I think. And when it's really cold, but I still want things to dry fast, what I do is I mix it in my white, because white takes so long to dry, and white's in so many of my colors that it almost gets into everything. So I just put it in my white. I just mix it in there with a palette knife, and that's something I do. I don't know why I'm telling you this right now in a watercolor class. Oh, that's great to know, Rob. Except I don't like oils. Okay. So then when we have something like this, if you'll notice, actually some of the blue background is pretty dark, maybe even as dark as some of the lights on the trees. You notice you squint your eyes down really, some of the lighter parts of the trees, really they don't really pop against the sky because they're really not lighter. Interesting. So come back with some sky color here. Value here, excuse me. And whoops. And I'm just gonna add water. We can do it like that. Now the sky, you do have the clouds in the background too, if you want. That's why some of these things are really silhouetting up against it. So I should probably hit that. Whoops. Didn't know my rag had red on it. And then we get another band of blue here, or another band of sky through there. And then something at the bottom that's pretty light. And you know, just so you know, I'm always very loose about whatever kind of technique you want to use in my class. So, I mean, Gina oftentimes does, well, she does acrylics. I don't mind if you want to do oils or acrylics or gouache or anything in here. So I'll just demo in this, and if you don't have it, you might like it after this. I'm seeing this tree doesn't really pop up against there, and I think probably needs a little bit of help there. A little bit darker. You know, it is a little bit darker, isn't it? I think the tree itself is a little darker. Yeah. Yeah, that's why it stands out. It wasn't standing out. It's just a touch darker than the background. Good to know, see? That's a good reason to do a value study. Okay. And I think we're ready. Ready for the yupo. Do you guys want to, I know some of you like to take the photos. Let's see. And there was my little yupo study. See, now in this technique, we're going to have to get, loosey-goosey with it. So you're going to, this is why people like this, because it forces you to. The painting looks better if you just kind of let go. I've got a big piece of paper here, compliments of Joe. And so thank you, Joe. I don't know if she's here with us, but. And let's see. So that's as far out as I can get. All right, so what I'll do is I'll just make myself a smaller little window here. Let's see. So, because it's a pretty long composition. And I don't want the top to be any higher than about that. It's a much bigger piece of paper than I'm used to using. Is it 11 by 14? I think it's 9 by 12, but it's the whole 9 by 12. Right, and it's a pretty long composition, so. Yeah, that'll be fine. I noticed the pencil feels good on it. If you don't want a really hard outline, you can just maybe make some lines where you want it and then just erase them out. So now I know where I'm supposed to be. And I can just give myself some registration marks. On the outside. That way, if I happen to move it, but sometimes I'll outline the outside of my paper, all the way around the corners. I usually just do the corners, and then I know, if I happen to move the paper, then I know where to put it. Now, for you, you probably don't need to know that, but it's a habit. It's a good habit to get into. And we're off. So some land here and something like that.
Sorry, Rob, which paper are you working on?
It's called mineral paper.
Oh, it is the mineral paper. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I'll do is I think I'll just start off with it with maybe I'll end this one about there. We have the next one, which it ends almost exactly at the same spot. I like the lean of it, but I'm going to end it about there. This one I'm going to take way up toward the top. I don't really want to draw literal lines around the whole thing. You make up a lot as you go with the paint. This is not about being specific, this type of painting. This is about really being at one with watercolor. This is going to give you very watercolory surfaces. So it's not how, anytime you're learning a new technique, it could very well give you some problems, but.
So Rob,
Yeah.
if I don't have that kind of paper, should
Yeah.
I do a wet? Should I just do water over the paper before I paint?
No, you can't paint today. Okay, that's it.
Oh no.
I'm just joking. Yeah, go ahead. What do you do? I would work with a lot more water than you're used to. I'm usually telling you don't do that, right?
Right.
Yeah, right. So now I'm saying, yeah, do that.
What? Wet the paper or paint? Use a lot more water.
I would just use more water. I'm not going to
Okay.
wet this paper.
No, I know you're not.
I know.
But I don't have that paper.
Well, if you do, you certainly,
I have arches.
You'll get really, if you wet the paper and work into it, all your edges will just absorb into fades. Whereas if you work just with a lot of water and do that, you'll get a look that's kind of similar to this.
Okay.
So,
Thanks.
yeah, we've done the wet into wet on that.
Rob, would
Yeah.
hot press paper be a substitute? Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Hot press paper is great. Hot press paper will act like this, but it's more absorbent. That's good. That's good. And don't worry, about the drawing too much. You're going to draw a lot with the brush.
Rob, how many trees do we have there?
You can choose how many trees you want in yours. I just did how many are up there.
So you have 4?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a couple little babies down there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But if you leave one out, it doesn't matter. Got that there. Some grassy stuff. Now I'll just put a line for this tree because there's no point in drawing out all the. You don't want to do that, and even when you paint it, you don't want to. You want to just kind of go with what you're seeing. It's not so much about copying. So if you don't get every branch right, it's fine. I never know whether to do the background first or not, because it doesn't really matter. I'm just thinking we're going to have a better time with it if we just go with the tree value first. We've got the tree now. I use Prussian blue and cad red and cad yellow. Now, I'm adding more blue and yellow to it to make the green. But then I switch gears when I do the trunk. I'm using the same colors. I'm just adding more, yellow and red. And using the blue, see the blue will gray it. So there's not very much blue in the trunks, but there's a little bit in there. So these are so common. I use these colors in nature. Let's see, we've got cad yellow and Prussian blue and some cad red. Yep. And how about we just, we'll just start here. You could know the more water you add, the longer it's going to take to dry, but you'll get neat watercolor effects. So I'm adding a pretty good amount of water. It's beating up on the surface, so. And it kind of rocks over this way. Now, one great thing is that it'll take a while to dry. And you might look at that as a negative thing, but it can also be a positive thing because it gives you more time to play around with stuff. Like if we want to add shadows, maybe we don't have to wait for it to dry. Or we could. It's just, painting is so much about you. But there's more what they call open time. I don't know who they are, but they told me. They are in my head. You see, it's not literally a perfect copy of that or anything. Ooh, getting nice little edges already. So I'm actually not using a ton of water. But I do notice if you use a little more water, you get a little more puddle effect. So, what's the solution here? Somewhere in the middle. You have to find that little medium for yourself. Now I'm coming down to the value of, see, I went a little bit redder with the same colors. I just added more cad red and a little bit of cad yellow. And see how look how it works its way into that. See, it just bled into it. Yummy. Good stuff. We like. I want that to be a little lighter. See what I'm doing? I'm just subtracting a little bit like I usually do with a drier brush. And I say drier, I didn't use a dry brush. Wow, it picks it up. Just want that to be a little bit lighter. Pull some right over. I'm noticing as I go over, as it's starting to tack up and I go over it, it'll pick up what's underneath. So that could be frustrating. Best thing to do, leave it. So why am I keep working on this? I don't know. I don't know. Stop, Rob. And you'll do other things right beside it and stuff will bleed. It's totally okay. And we have the dead tree here. It's a lot more gray. So I'm taking those same 3 colors and I'm adding more Prussian blue to it. Hardly any yellow. But if a little bit's in there, I'll go with it. Let's see. Yeah. So we've got this little guy there. And pull some of these little branches beside. That was a little large. Pull them right over. Somebody wants some broken ones. Starting to find your groove yet? It's fun. I'm seeing that we might have to do this. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I'm not really having, I think this approach might have been better. We'll see. I mean, in other words, not laying down the sky first. Yeah, I'm sure either way could be argued to be better. Anywho, I'm gonna take a lot of these colors here and do it, and then you notice how it gets much darker because most of it's in shadow. So, a cad yellow, cad red, and Prussian blue. Some more water.
Rob, you often say, you know, cad yellow and cad red with some blue, but do you ever just use cad orange instead of the yellow and the red?
It's a good question.
Is there an advantage in doing the red and the yellow instead of directly the orange?
Well, yeah, because you can control how much red or yellow you want in it. You know, with the orange, it's already controlled for you.
Oh, that's a good.
But I like the orange. I do. I like to have all those choices out there. I mean, a lot of artists you'll see, instead of my 6 colors that I usually have, they'll have, 30 colors. Now that's okay for somebody that already knows a bunch. But when you're learning color, if you learn how to mix the colors, and you know what's in them. So that's the reason I do it this way. Plus, I just do it this way on my own anyway, usually, because I don't know. It's just as easy for me. I don't know. You know, I haven't worked with a big, giant, massive palette in so long, but I used to. You know, I think I was just taught that, honestly. Come to think of it now, I don't remember the teachers that I studied under taught me that way. Yeah, I know on my own, I played around with it, but I can't remember in school ever being told to have a lot of colors. But definitely being told that having the limited palette would be to your advantage. So, and that really worked for me. I've just always gone along with it because it seems to work for everybody. Great question, though. You always have great questions. What do you call somebody that asks questions? A questionnaire? No, that's a
curious person.
Is there a word for it? What?
I don't know. A curious person.
No. I'm talking about one word. Is there a word for it? No. Yeah, irritating. No, I'm just joking.
Inquisitive or inquisitor?
What'd you say?
Inquisitive or inquisitor?
Oh, inquisitive. Yeah, you're inquisitive. Thank you.
Rob, also, as you said, for teaching purposes, for your students, I think it's ideal that you use a limited palette and show them how to mix colors.
Yeah, it sure is. But you know what I mean? I think even for more experienced people, I certainly don't mind. If you're more experienced, go ahead and do whatever you like. But, and I do have a couple extras out here. I have my little aqua color there, and you know, I don't use it very much, but it's fun to throw into shadows and things like that. And you know, we should have a day too where I show you my little fancy tricks. Fancy schmancy. They're fun. I mean, you know, I can show you how to wake up a shadow with a fun color. I do that. I know one of the most common problems is dead shadows. Shadows that are just, you know, not a lot going on there. And so how to get some yummy in there. Now I'm just going to take the color of the light on this grass right over, and then I'll come over with the color of the shadow. Now when you glaze over, it'll pick up if you rub on it too hard. So you're better to just glaze it really quick and leave it. Now, by the way, some people really like this look, and you can get very beautiful impressions of things by working really fast on this paper. So I'm showing you a way to really control this. And then I think you can figure this out on your own. But yeah, just put wet stuff right on next to wet, just push it really hard. I did that in like 3 minutes. So you can, I mean, I like that look. So I always feel like I should show you how to control these things. You know, this is really, wow, that's dry. Holy bananas, right there. Look at that. Oh, it dries a little faster than I thought. And I laid down some water on that too. Wow. Yumalicious. Everything, you can say alicious after anything and it works. You know. Good delicious. Okay. From there. So I guess the question is, Rob, hey, maybe could we add a little more water to it? And the answer is, let's give it a whirl. So, that's a little dark. Adding more water. And I could have definitely, maybe I should have put in the trunk first. I don't know. Same colors I use in this trunk. I'm using the same 3 colors. You know, a lot of times in nature, you know, you certainly could add more, but there's not really a whole lot of. Ooh, I'm gonna get a bleed there. That could be nice. I mean, there's variety, but not a whole lot. But it doesn't mean we can't add some. You know, I just thought of something. Why don't I just do all my little baby tree trunks? These ones over here, now the reason they look lighter is because it has something darker behind them. So maybe just put them in really, really light. A little redder. There we go. Oh, that's a good way to do it. Watch. Put that in. Kind of redder. And then we'll back it with something darker. Just remember though, oh, I put these in very thin. So they should dry pretty fast. This one I have really a lot of water in. That's why it's spilt all in here. I actually just don't even mind that at all. And No, now this is so dry, I could glaze over it. Hey, Mitsuko, when you glaze over stuff like this that's dry, will it all come up?
It makes a different form, different powdering.
Okay, well.
So each time you do it, kind of shapes differently, but that's fun.
It is. I can tell why you like this paper so much. You know, now I personally, you know what? I'll just tell you straight out. This is my first time ever using this. I mean, oh no, it's not me. This right here, doing these dots on here, that was my first time using it. But I've used things that are so similar that, like the yupo paper I've played around with, I can definitely see why people get hooked on this paper though. Because I'm liking it. So that's why I'm asking, you know, you guys questions. You see, the thing is, the theory never changes. That's the thing I know, like the back of my hand. I mean, you know, like really well, is is like color theory and design, and those are the things that, you know, they aren't learned quickly. Whereas techniques are learned, I don't know. I always had a thing about technique. Any sort of technique was learned almost instantly. And I don't know. I think that's just because I have a good time with stuff. But see, like, for instance, you see how I took the branch and overlapped it over another branch? That doesn't have anything to do with the technique of mineral paper or whatever. That's a design idea. So, you know, if you have good design ideas, you're going to do good paintings no matter what. So value, shape, color, edge, these are design issues. They have nothing to do with techniques. I just like to point that out because I don't think enough teachers really stress them. But they sure do stress the techniques. All right, here we go. And you know, to make, in other words, here's a design idea. It has nothing to do with mineral paper. But if I want these trunks to look lighter, I can take something in back of them, and they're dry. So that's a technical thing. I waited for it to dry first so it wouldn't ooze its way in. Now I want this to look lighter, so I'm going to take a few little ones behind it. There. And now they stand out looking lighter up against something dark, whereas these maybe stand out looking darker up against something light. Total design issue. And honestly, you never stop learning about design, and I've never stopped learning about technique either, really. I'm constantly loving it and learning it, but technique is way, here, you know, people treat it like it's the be all end all, and that really irritates. It's really irritating to people who have spent all these years on design. They go over to the design part of it as if the design is, oh yeah, whatever, I can do that. That's no problem. You know, you're just kind of going, really? Because I don't think Sargent would have said that. I think he spent most of his time working on that design. And the technique was just, what did they say?
The technique is just how you make the design happen.
Yeah. So the technique is like, let's say the public speaker. There's a public speaker, and the public speaker has this really well-trained voice. Boy, are they good technically, you know, whatever. And then you get right next, and they're having a speaking sort of debate, or not a debate, but maybe maybe they're just speaking in front of an audience about an issue. And right next to them is a 12-year-old kid who has no speaking experience, but comes out and says, well, and has all these verbal pauses and things like that, you know. I'm not really sure if I'm going to be able to say this right, but I'm going to say it anyway. And they just speak from their heart, and it melts your heart, you know. Who's the better public speaker, you know? One's got great technique, and the other one says something that moves you. So. It's not all about technique. So now I'm glazing. I didn't even realize I was doing that. I'm glazing, but I'm not, see, only once. So there's a technical thing. If I go over that, I know I'm going to start picking up the undercolor. So better leave that. And I don't know why I didn't put down my shadow down here first, but you know what I think I'll do is these little dark spots. I guess it's just exposed earth or something. Yeah, I'll just put them down here and up there. Put them in there first. I'm not putting them there really bright. About as dark as the light is in here. And we'll come back and drop a shadow. We'll hit some shadows on this and a few. So put those in now so we can let them dry. Oh, they'll be really, really puddly. That's going to be a nice glaze. See, now if I put my shadows in right now over the snow, it would just ooze right into these. So now that's a technical thing. Technical thing is like your strategy. What's your strategy? That is a technical thing. Now, so am I a technician? I mean, I just downplayed technique, you know? So you might think, well, Rob's not a technician. I'm a total technician. Like I was a technician before, well, I don't even know. It's kind of back and forth because when I was a kid, I just played and did my own thing. And then when I got a little older, not very much, I mean, like 10 years old, I became so technical and I did it all on my own, but I got really into anything that was crazy technical, like airbrush. Remember airbrush? Nobody ever even really does it that much anymore, but I was so into airbrush at what, 10, 11, 12, and then in high school. By the time I was in high school, I was really, really had it down. That is really, really technical. Okay, by the way, I'm gonna go for some background color here. And let's just go with ultramarine blue. We'll leave out a light pattern through here. Leave it lighter at the bottom. Okay. Because now if you have some really wet edges around here, you could still do it. Just know that things are going to spill into it, and you know you're going to get spillage. I thought some wise person over there was going to say spillage. Alicious? Spillage. No, it's spillagation. Okay, so I'm gonna just do. Feel free to vary your blues too if you like. Throw in a little Prussian in there if you want. I won't tell. There. It's your painting. Have a blast. That's part of learning. And one thing I really like about my outside edges is I'm getting this really organic kind of edge around because of the way I drew that in there. So sometimes I would just take it all the way out to the edge. This is a beautiful look. You might even want to try a lot of watercolor. People who buy watercolors really prefer this look. So now I got plenty of paint on there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of go over these areas. If a little bit of white shows, I don't mind. Yeah, I remember once when I was an art director, well, actually I was a mural painter. This art director called me his wrist. He goes, yeah, you're my wrist. And basically talked to me, like down to me like that, like, come here, wrist. In other words, I'm the art director, you're the dummy who has a good wrist. So do exactly what I say. And he was a hyper, what do you call him? Micromanager. And so, and I because I thought it was great to be a technician. And I really was, quite the technician, but I didn't like that. Wow. I didn't know that being a good technician was a bad thing. I felt like telling him, here's the brush, why don't you do it? Because I've seen your paintings and I'm pretty sure you can. I got this dark. Okay, I can work that up in there still. It's not too, I sort of had a dark little halo around the outside. Just want to work that up. These, on the other hand, these light patches kind of act as cloudy things. So I think I'll leave those. Two things that I wasn't aware of. One I let go, and one I try to correct. Now I'm going to leave this kind of a stiff edge. I could do a fade on that, but I'm going to do something called walking down the value into this. So we'll still get a soft edge, but in a series of glazes. That might be too ambitious. We'll see. So now I'm going to work some of my background through here, and I'm just going to, oops, it's getting kind of brown. It's picking up some of the background. If it's picking up some of the background color, just wipe your brush off, clean it. This won't take very much. That's just because I'm going over these little holes, picking stuff up. So this, it's just another, there we go. Another, it could be a problem, might be an advantage. It's not bugging me. So just remember, if this is all wet and you do this, it's going to run right into it. Might seem obvious, and then, a lot of this stuff is obvious. And then you do it and you go, well, how come I didn't see that? So that's. See, now I'm glazing right over all this, but just once. If I go over that again, it'll start picking it up. So I can do this like one time. There we go. Any more and I'm going to be in trouble. And if I do get in trouble, no big deal. Just come back and go over it again. It's just, on a technical note, I want you to know. Now, I must be on a bit of a slant. Yeah, I am, because I'm getting my puddleage down here. So what I could do is take, it's not much of a slant. I could take some, I love these gum erasers, come in handy for so many things. And what I'll do is I'll put them under my board, just shift it up about 1/4 of an inch. See if that works. Magazines. Maybe it'll work its way back into there after a couple of minutes. This is why when I used to do my my portraits like this on the hot press paper, I would have a level on there. And the level would tell me, I had a level going this way and another level going this way right on the top up here. And so I could tell exactly how level. So then I'd know how my puddles were gonna puddle up. And I could even just, see now my puddles are moving that way. Yeah. So erasers. Any kind of spacers. These are great. Because I can just, it's got a wedge to it so I can push it in or pull it out. Yeah, it gets to be, and did you ever think the watercolorists thought about stuff like that? Well, gravity has a lot to do with it. Oh, yes, we do.
I think if I were to turn this on an angle right now, it would just all pour right off of the page.
Right, exactly. So this is dry, this is pretty dry. So I think I'm gonna glaze my shadows on my snow. Now, a lot of times the snow shadows are very blue because the blue sky comes in and reflects them. These ones are kind of violet. And I think that would be a nice little change to the painting. So I'm gonna mix the ultramarine blue with the magenta. And I know it's a dirtier shadow, but I think I'm gonna go with this. And I wanted my little burst to be in about there. And what happens if I just add a little water to the edge to soften that edge? So I don't get a razor sharp edge. I don't know. We'll see. Oh boy. Also, look at all the sedentary, the grainy sediment. That's the word. Yeah. Ooh, see, wonderful. Now, there was a California painter from the 70s who was so good at this. Let me see if I can dig it up. Hold on. Found another good book on it too. Let's see if I can find a painting here. I think it was in the back. This is in my American watercolor. Oh, here it is. So, can you see this? It's a big book. These are just goldfish. That's That's done on, it says watercolor paper, but it's probably hot press. Getting all these puddle effects. There's one, this is another one. Let's see if I can find another one. I don't even know if there are anymore. Joseph Raphael, born in 1933. I remember looking in this book, right, and I immediately locked right into that because I was sort of doing that at the time, and well, that was all they have of him. But yeah, Joseph Raphael. And then here's this Bert Silverman, who works on the hot press too. Maybe I showed this to you already, I don't know. But he gets all the little, so that's hot press paper. It's a bit more absorbing. And you can see, if you can get up into this a little bit, he rubs out things. He rubs out his lights quite often. Let me see if a good example here. And I really got into that too. Here's a figure where you can see he likes these really light shadows too. But see and he rubs out all those lights. Sometimes I think you might even add some white. But the book is called Breaking the Rules of Watercolor by Bert Silverman. Anyway, 2 books on artists that do a resist sort of a resist-ish kind of way of working.
I haven't painted on this, but I painted on yupo, and that's one of the things I love about it is you can pull the paint right off.
Yeah, this would come right off.
Goes straight back to white, and I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, we certainly could.
How do you pull the paint off?
Oh, I'll show you here. I mean, you could just do it with a wet rag if you like, but let's say I wanted one of these to, how about I do it right here? See some of these lights, maybe I want a little lighter. Just take a brush with just a little water on it, not very much, right? And I can just go over it once. Pull that off on the side. See it? You can see where I took off a little paint. And pull it off again. That would be the more controllable way to do it. Like I say, you could just wipe it off, smear it off with your rag. But see how I'm getting lighter? No, I could do that on all these. I mean, that's about light enough, but here, I'll take it off really. We can just burn this thing out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, isn't that just,
that is very interesting.
Yeah. That would be the controllable way to do it. I'd rather just show you that and then let you do everything else on your own.
That starts to look kind of like a stained glass window effect.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
That's a common thing in watercolor. Probably because of all the hard edges. You know, if we put black or something really dark around our edges, you get a very stained glass. Also, the thing about stained glass is that it's being lit from behind. So it illuminates, right? And all of this is illuminating as well. So, and you see how some of my background crept over the top here and here? Now, if I wanted to correct that, I could, but I don't want to. I like it. So I leave it. I like that kind of thing. I love the idea of the viewer experiencing the object in front of the background, and then sometimes the background coming in front of the object, just reminding us this is a painting, you know? This is a painting, because it doesn't really hurt it. If it hurt the image, I might try to correct that. Okay. And that's all, my opinion. For what it's worth. Okay, so I'm going to come in with some shadows now. I've got a lot of local colors on here. I'm just going to think shadow color. And look, if you look at all the shadows in the trees, it's very similar. But you notice how this comes into the light up here, and then all this goes down into shadow. This is in the light. You get a little more shadow down here. If you wanted to, you could play that idea up. This one goes from light to shadow. And I got a little skinny in there, didn't I? Make it up any way you like. But I'm going to make up a shadow color, and I could use gray like they're using, or I could make up my own beautiful color. So I think I'm going to go with a magenta out of ultramarine blue and magenta. So I guess I'm trying to make violet. That's the word. Violet. Why? Because I'd like more color into this piece. I think black is going to kind of, I know, even though it might be realistic, sort of kill the color. So make yourself plenty of it. And I'm not going to be using that much water because I want it to be dark. So underneath things, just underneath and to the right, usually. Ooh, it spilled off into the sky, yummy. Happy accident, ooh, that's doing it too. So that means I started off a little early, and I'm getting the spillage from the shadow into the sky. I mean, if I don't like that, I just take I can take my brush and take all the paint out of it and water and just, see, now it acts like a sponge. Might look kind of weird, but and then adding a little bit more water. That's all I do. The truth is I don't mind, I like the dance of the watercolor. Doing exactly what I wanted to, and then sometimes letting it alone and do what it wants to do. I don't know. It's like we're partners in the game, not like I'm this. And that's how I always treated art direction when I was an art director. Well, I remember, like I was just telling you about that art director, I remember thinking to myself, I don't ever want to be like that. Not to my employees, ever. I just want to be, I want to like, I want to be the opposite of that. That's what I remember. So don't micromanage them. Let them be geniuses. Just let them do their thing. And, I could tell by their portfolio they know what they're doing. So but if they get way off track, then I'm going to have to reel them in. So but it never was anything I thought about. I just did it. I mean, I thought about it a little bit, but I mean, I mostly just thought, well, this is what works best for me. When people leave me alone. So I usually left people alone, and I got great results. Oh my gosh. I can't tell you how many times the artists were just like, you trust me with that? I'm like, yeah, that's why I hired you. okay. And then they did it, and I go, well, it looks great. Awesome. That's exactly what I wanted. I mean, not exactly what I wanted. What I wanted was your best solution to the thing. That's why I hired you. You do want to be creative, right? Anyway, I had these two women muralists that they went around to all the studios and they did jobs everywhere, and I'd use them every time I could get them. I'd use them on a job, and we always had such a blast because I knew I just let them do the thing. And then I remember a couple of times on when we were on sets, like Anne would say, Rob, this it's either a director or some other art director or somebody was asking her to do something, and she didn't know how to handle that. So she'd come over and just say, Rob, could you handle this? And I'd say, sure. So a lot of technicians don't want anything to do with all that stuff. That's why they stay. I would rather pay them a lot of money and just let them stay doing their stuff. I got great results and ended up saving the studio or our company all kinds of money that way. Because why? Because you don't have the redos, you know? No one ever thinks about that. Yeah, you're paying this person top dollar, but you don't have to redo it and it looks outstanding, you know? I think that's what happens when artists become art directors. And wouldn't you think they would? Wouldn't you think that they would hire artists as art directors? They don't. Crazy world. I remember talking to this one art director. He's like, "Oh, I'm a writer. The art director, this is something I do, but whatever. I'm a writer." I was like, "Oh, okay." So you're advising people on drawing and painting, and you don't know anything about drawing and painting. That was funny. But the way he said it was like, this stuff is... Anyway.
I think it's true that a lot of people who want to be artists end up in art adjacent fields, like right next to it, because they don't have the faith of doing it, and but they want to be there, they want to be close to it, and they want to be working with it, but they just don't have the whatever it is to do it themselves.
But this person was more like, I don't really want to be here. This is something I'm doing in between things, and I'm thinking, wow, because there's probably a lot of people that are so much better than you at this particular job. Maybe you're a way better writer, but they could really use the work. Guess it helps to know somebody. Okay, so see, I'm just gradually just working these shadows down below, leaving it lighter at the top. Let's make sure we're muted. I got you. This did dry a little bit lighter than I expected. Just little pockets. See, just little pockets of dark here and there. Think of them as being under the foliage and a bit more on the right side. One of the reasons this trunk stands out a little bit more is it's got a few darks behind it. And here's a little thing you could do. I could throw down a whole bunch of dark right here. And then for that little light branch on it, just take your fingernail and didn't come off as much as I thought it would. Here, I got a stiff brush here. Here's a, oh, there you go, bristle brush. Like that, and then come back and paint into it. Let that dry, then throw a little glaze over it, if you need to. So there's that whole idea is very useful in all kinds of things. I'm thinking maybe the bottom of this tree could be more in shadow. Yeah, not a dark shadow. I like that. You know, I guess it's not that slow. It's just, you know, it's a different tempo. Every paper is going to be that way too. You know, if you work on, like, let's say 300-pound rag, which is, you know, the bumpy, that's going to absorb like crazy. Just the opposite of this. And so you have to work with that tempo. You know, you just adjust. So what I'm now doing is I have light and shadow, right? I'm putting a little bit of in-betweeners in there like this, called a halftone. I could have waited for those to dry up a little bit more, but that's fine. And that just, you know, when you see like right here, so it just goes from light to shadow. Could use a little bit of little halftone. And that's just it's a value in between the light and the shadow. So now we have all this shadow here. So maybe what I could do is put a little more halftone in it as it comes up into the light. Some of these A little darks in here. Now I can hit them a little darker. Just glaze right over. Doesn't matter if it. There. Doesn't matter if it goes in and out of what's down. In other words, I'm not trying to make it exactly like what's underneath. I just want a little glaze on top. So now it goes from, you're seeing this thing come from darker to lighter in the light. That's all. Wonder what it looks like if you take a razor blade to it. There's one. If I scratch this out, oh, look at that. So if I wanted this light, well, that really works. So some of this light stuff over here. Let's see, would my fingernail work? Oh yeah, fingernail works. Okay. Oh wow, it's kind of nice. I think I prefer the fingernail. But if I needed something really all the way to the paper. And the neat thing about those is you can if I want to knock it back a little bit, but still I want it lighter than the background, but not that light. I could just take a light glaze over it. So there's that too. It's very much the same as rubbing out, but it's not. I'm just joking. No. It's the same as rubbing out, but you're taking it to the absolute white of the paper. And I want to get something warm over these lights. This pure white here is a little bit too bright for me. So I basically took this color right here and I had a little more yellow in it, and then I just thinned it out. And so white clouds usually don't work for me. I like very little, but it's something in there. So again, I'm going to take a color similar to this with a little more yellow in it. Believe me, it doesn't take very much to do all this. Not very much at all. This is one of those things where if you have dirty yellow water, it'll probably work. Like there. Yeah. We just want to take the edge off it. It's too the value's too bright. And I know if I get it right on this blue, it's just going to seep in there. And I might even like that, but I think oh, really picked up some of that wet color that was on there. Okay. Whoops, I'll just go with it. And if I had a dime for every time I said whoops when I did a watercolor, I can drink that up too. Wow. Good. So the clouds still feel lighter, but they're not this crazy white. And, you know, if you like the crazy white, just leave it. Oh, it's still drying up. It's so wet still. You know, you might not see the whole painting in its final fruition. And maybe for an hour. I don't know. When I used to do my portraits, I'd leave them overnight. And then I wake up in the morning and look at, first thing you gotta go check it out. Sometimes I was surprised. Sometimes, yeah, that's what I thought. Sometimes I'm like, what a disaster. So. I definitely got to the point where I could pretty much predict that. That's when those levels came in. When I started using the levels, oh boy, then I could really predict what was going to happen. And it really helps in commercial work, in fine art. Maybe I want a little more experimentation. You know, there's also all these little halftones in there that aren't really dark. But they're not really shadows either. There's a lot of them in there, just. And the question is, do you really need them or not? I mean, do you love the little things that happen on their own? The little. Just depends on what you're going for. Now, could I use white on this? I guess, you know, it's an experiment. Why not? Let's see. I mean, I could start by using a little bit in the sky. Let's see what that looks like. I just put it on there with hardly any water, and then I move it around a little bit. Well, look at that. It looks just great. And I can move it around in a sort of, look at that. It's probably going to dry very different, but who cares? You know, you don't know until you try. Ooh, look at that, man. This bled into it. This sort of yellowy green from the tree. I definitely like that. So, success with the white, I do like. You know? maybe if I want a little more white on my clouds, it's just to lighten them up on the top. Maybe I could, and they're already wet. So it's just going to take it and do something with it. Ooh. Never thought about, well, I don't know why I'm surprised. It's just been a while since I did this. I think about my other paintings. I'm like, oh yeah, Rob, you used to do this all the time. It's kind of like being reintroduced to it. I do love it. I do love how the water just takes it on its own little. So fun. Oh, what would happen if I use a little water on here? Or a little white. And then maybe add a little bit of water and run that right into it. So remove some. Remove a little bit more. Well, that could be very nice. This is the kind of thing you see in Zorn paintings, or Zorn. Those little residue effects. It can be fun. Occasionally, let's say we have a little branch here. I like to pretend that it would cast a little shadow. This is an old master trick. You see so many old masters do this. They'll use the cast shadow, and what it does is it describes the form. So I'm pulling the shadow around the trunk. And the only reason you throw a couple of those on there just to describe the form. I see a few of them on there. I have to come back and reinforce that. Oh boy. Some of these could probably be a little darker. As you know, they'll dry oftentimes a bit lighter than you might expect. It's not really absorbing it, but it's, you know, when you put it on first, it hasn't spread out yet. So this is another way, another reason why it could be drying lighter on you. Just coming back into some of those areas. That'll give you a nice little puddle. Well, it never ends. That's fun. But we do have some crits to get to. Let's see what time it is. Yeah. Got a little too. Kind of ran into it. So give it a nice little signature. And let's start turning them in. Oh, a lot of you got them in already. Okay. Fantastic. I'm going to turn off my HD. And then change my settings here. Oops. No, I did the wrong one. I'll be back in just a minute.
Okay, for those who are watching me, this is a process of mounting. I did this on rice paper, and I have to mount it to show the vibrancy before taking a picture. So this is, you can do it while it's still wet. Still damp, let me see. So the backing was drawing paper, very cheap drawing paper I got from dollar store, and I used the silicone film, heat activate silicone film, laminate the drawing paper, then put the painting on. So now you can see the finished work. I can still paint on it, you know, I haven't signed it. So that's what I'm going to do before taking a picture. I should use a contrast color, maybe using red. Okay, I think where he did is on the right side.
Okay, screen share.
Okay. And this goes here.
Whoa. Maybe like this small. Hold on.
Be careful, not on the wrong side because it got
There we go.
extra film.
Okay, Claire.
Hi,
Hi.
I
Decrease HD.
I didn't hear you.
sorry, I did a second one that may not be much different, but I think I like it a little better.
Oh, you did another one? Oh, let's see. Where is it? Is it way up here?
Might be up.
Oh, yeah. Hey, but you got that sense of light. You know, that shadow, the light burst on the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is hard to move the paint around.
Yeah. I told you, sometimes it's hard to find your footing with a new technique.
Yeah.
But it also kind of shakes it up and gets you thinking about, wow. You learn a few different techniques and then you might think, well, this technique might apply to this subject a lot better.
That's true.
Right. Okay, yeah, it just looks unfinished. But you're grouping up here, all this. Nice. Let me get my other one here. Yeah, this grouping. That's one other thing I noticed is with this technique, because it doesn't dry fast, your colors swim into each other more and you kind of automatically get a grouping. So
Yeah.
like the way you did the shadow here, you grouped it very nice. And sometimes people put them down in a series of glazes and they look kind of choppy. So,
Okay.
right. So I would probably come in with some shadows.
Okay. More shadows. Yeah.
Under like for instance, if this is a batch of foliage, I put a shadow underneath it and to the right. Underneath. Yeah. Just kind of. Yeah. Now this shadow right here this is a good color and value to use as your shadows. There's not very many up here, but I had put in a few. And then like it looks like you're doing that too. This one right here looks like it's in shadow. I might bring a little bit of this shadow up onto the tree, if you like.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Keep on keeping on.
Yep. It's fun.
Thank
the
you.
middle paper was fun.
Oh, good. I'm glad. All right, Ethel. What do you think of this paper?
Oh, I've been using it for a while, but
Oh, yeah, that's right. You
yeah.
where did you first find out about it?
Mitsuko,
Hmm.
she was doing them and I thought, oh, looked like fun. So
Now, did Mitsuko introduce? I know that what's his name? Pete Morris does it, right?
Yes, it's from Pete.
Okay, I was going to say, did you show him or? I was just wondering if you showed him.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Oh, you did. Oh, okay.
Oh no. I mean he introduced.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Yeah. And
Oh.
he I think he likes it very much.
Yeah, I saw him one day out painting at Arlington Gardens, and he was doing it. He did like it.
Nowadays, I think it's all seems like mineral paper.
Yeah, it's kind of a craze, huh? I remember when Yupo came in. It wasn't. I mean, I don't know what year it was or anything, but I remember it just caught wind and everybody was using it. Oh, so I gave this stuff a try and go. Oh, it's a lot like hot press, but a little slipperier. Had a little fun with it. Okay. All right. So anyway, yeah. Now look what you're doing. You're doing these semi-opaque lights on there.
yeah, I just dropped them in later after it dried.
And look how beautiful and organic that looks. I don't know why anyone would have a problem with that, but seems like a lot of people in the transparent, they want it to be more transparent. So it seems like even though you can see the background through it, it's not worked from light to dark. You pull the light over a dark, which means it's semi-opaque. Who cares? It looks good. That's what I care about. And you got these darks over the light.
Of course.
You know, I had to do this too. I did the same thing you did here, right here. So see how your what do you call it? Trunk gets pretty wide there, and then it just gets really thin.
Yeah.
So I did the same thing. But all I did was I just kind of thickened it up here a little bit.
Yeah. I did that. I've been tinkering with it since I said.
Yeah. Tinker with it. Yeah.
Yeah. I did make
That's
that
what we do.
Yeah.
We're tinkerers.
It's kind of weird that I had it at a strong angle, so.
If you want to get that burst of light, I might come over these with another glaze. Maybe it's too wet right now, but I would just.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty wet right now, but yeah, I might do that.
And then I know in the photograph it's somehow mysteriously this is all in shadow, and then these are pretty much in light. But I would take a little bit of the shadow maybe up onto the bottoms. So we'll see.
Okay.
That's about it. Any questions?
No, I still have my sky problems, but that's okay.
Well, what's the problem? You want to drop a little sky in here, maybe?
Oh, it just always comes out all mottled, but I think it works okay for this.
Maybe just use more water. Use more water and let it dry.
Yeah.
Before you come into the next, yeah.
Rob, do you think it would have been better to put the background in first, the sky in first?
Well, I don't think it would have been better. I think it would have been different. We would have had to really wait, though, to get into the trees.
All right.
Or we could have done the trees and just left it a little white ring around them until it dried and then coming back over. I don't know. If you work right into it, you'll get a lot of spillage. Like this one in mine. I don't know if you can see mine, but you'll get a lot of that happening. And that's not bad. But so.
Yeah, I did a bit of lifting to make it do a little more of what I wanted.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was fun.
Welcome. Good. So what did you think, Marie?
Well, it's a cold pressed paper.
Yeah. You're working it with a little more water than normal, huh?
Mineral paper.
Because you are getting these little puddly things.
Oh yeah, I used a lot of water. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like this light burst. Wow, nice. And one thing you did that's interesting and nice is by taking the silhouette of this grass that's in the shadow over the light, it really gives you some 1, 2, gives you some overlapping.
Yeah.
Which is nice. So the sacrifice is oftentimes for the beautiful puddly edges, you give up some rendation, like along the edge. And that's just the way it goes sometimes. Any questions on this one? It looks pretty darn good.
Oh, thanks. No, it was fun to do, and yeah.
Oh, it's a good looking piece.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so you do have this overlapping here. I'm wondering what do you think about maybe having something overlap in here? And the reason why I'm saying that is because they kind of look like right next to each other. And they are probably, but.
Yeah. Some.
So is this, and you pulled that over that, you know, so yeah. I would say, I would look for maybe a little more overlapping.
Like one of the branches that have more of the leaves on it, or the.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I do have overlapping, but something heavier, kind of like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Some of those. Yeah. I like that.
Oh, heavier.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do that.
And look at your clouds. You did this with it. I like the diagonal. I think that would have been.
Yeah. Well, I did the sky first, and then. Then I did it again. Then I painted, and then I did the sky again. So it was like two applications. Because I liked the going around the tree. I thought that looked kind of cool to have it, the
white?
Yeah, some
white.
I
like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Nice work.
Thanks.
Hey, Katie. All right, nice color.
Hello, thank you.
Is this the, this is the regular paint, the regular paint?
Yeah, I don't have the other paper.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
It's a little heavy. I don't quite know how it got dark so fast. But were I to do it again, I would lighten it up and allow more sky to come through.
Yeah, I would probably start off like this value right here on this.
Yes.
Start off with that. Do the whole thing. Let it dry, or it doesn't have to dry, but I mean, just do it all like that first. Then come back with some darker values, and then maybe your deep values later. That's maybe you got a little aggressive with the darks right away.
I think so. I tend to do that, and I don't know why.
And one thing you can do if you want to mess around with it is is come back into some of this dark and just lift off some with your maybe a little too much till it gets to be about this value over here.
Oh.
And then pretend like the bottom's in shadow and the top's in light.
Okay.
So I'd take off some of that. Yeah, about like this is over here in the middle.
Okay.
And then let it dry, and then glaze some little colors right back over it.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like you did up here, in this middle one. And you'll get a sense of like the top's in light, the bottom's more in shadow.
Okay.
So rub it out. Like that book, the Breaking the Rules of Watercolor, he rubs them out.
Mm.
So, and he's considered one of the great. I mean, Bert Silverman's one of the biggest names in watercolor. I mean, or was. I don't know if he's still doing it, but certainly in the 80s and 90s, he was giant.
Oh, really?
So,
who was this again?
Bert Silverman. He's famous.
Oh, okay.
Here's his book. But he's a really excellent designer and draftsman as well, but just happens to be this awesome painter.
Okay.
Right.
Good ideas.
Breaking the rules of watercolor.
I like that.
Yeah. All right, now, so we do have the three right next to each other, and they are.
1, 2, 3.
I wonder if we could see a few more little guys right next to them.
Okay.
Some of these little, a few more. I can see maybe coming from down below up too as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would maybe think about putting a little bit of shadow over this, because right now it's pretty strong. So a little shadow, because the bottom could be. I put shadow over mine. The bottom could be in shadow. And I might try that. Nice color.
And by adding the shadow, what does that do?
Grounds it a little bit. Let's see. So it just maybe pull it down into the shadow in there too. It doesn't stand out so much, that's all.
Okay.
So it feels like maybe more, because the light's sort of coming up over probably a ridge on the, and so that's why you're getting part of this. The tops are mostly in light and the bottoms are mostly in shadow. And this one right here feels like it's in shadow over here. So, maybe throw a touch on.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I do.
Okay.
All right.
Good. Thank you.
All right, Suzanne. Let's try it. Clear them all. All right, nice sense of light. I like that you added the one in the background too. It gives it a little depth. That was a good move. Is that what you were trying to accomplish by adding this bluer one in the back? Not there? Okay. Maybe your mute's on. Anyway, nice. She's got the light on the dark here. Very light shadows, but they feel like snow. Light here. Now I might still play with a little bit of a glaze on some of this. See what that does? The drama of them coming from the shadow up into the light. I don't know what that is, but it does. And what's interesting is that now you have this one's almost all in shadow, and this one's almost all in light. I mean, you could even, let's see. I think you should just leave it all in light. It's a nice play. And that's really the only suggestion I have. You've rendered it out very nicely. So think about that. Maybe a subtle glaze. It doesn't have to be dark or anything. Oh, that's a beauty. All right. You should
it looks like there's snow on top of the tree on the leaf.
Yeah. Find some of these up in here. Yeah. Real soft edged clouds in the background. Great. Very nice. Thank you. Lisa. Are you there, Lisa? Unmute.
Okay, hi.
There we are. Hi.
Hi.
Okay. So you're on the regular cold press paper, yeah?
Yeah, cold press, yeah.
All right. Now I'm wondering if we could maybe glaze a couple of shadows over the trees. Excuse me.
Could do that.
It's up to you, but maybe.
Give it some
what happens when trees are right beside each other? Oftentimes this tree, will cast a shadow over this tree.
Oh, okay.
So, possibly.
Kind of give it contrast, yeah.
Yeah. You have steps in your house? Clone. I should have recorded that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and the nice thing, you can dramatize a painting by adding subtle shadows, staging shadows too. Oftentimes,
right.
Maybe something coming through.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, so those shadows, it's mostly just shadows. I don't really see anything else.
Oh, good.
Sometimes when they get too close to the top, I'll just kind of take it right out. So that's up to you.
Sure. Make it more dramatic, I guess.
A little cropping would be fun. Think about it. Anyway. Yeah. Or what you could do, it looks like you have a little extra paper. You could just add a little sky, a little more sky. So,
oh, okay. Good idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
Small things, but yeah.
Yeah, they make it.
What about some darks? Like maybe ask yourself, where would you get some really good darks? Usually it's in the base of things. Maybe a couple dark ones in here once in a while.
Right, darker. Yeah, it gives it more contrast.
They're little pockets.
Right.
I noticed in these trees they had little pockets. So think about it.
Yeah.
See what you like. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Sure.
And Cynthia. All right, here we go.
Here.
Hi.
Hi.
Let's see now. Okay. You have plenty of contrast up in here. This is nice. Yeah, plenty of contrast. But I'm wondering maybe we could have a little more contrast down here. I'm using black. I mean, I don't know if black's really the best color, but that's about all I have.
A little darker.
Yeah, just a little more contrast, just to give that feeling of the light coming through.
Okay. Just a glaze.
Yeah. There we go. So I should have done it. And, you know, the way you did this, it really feels like these trees, instead of being next to these trees over here, they really feel like they're in front of these trees. And so because they're in front of these trees, it could very well be that the light, let's say the light's coming in this direction. So I guess we have an arrow going about like that. So if the light's going that direction, I'm wondering if the top of this might be casting a little bit of a shadow onto the bottom part of that tree.
Well, from the shadows in the bottom, it sounds to me that the light's coming from the right upper. Is that right? Because of the shadow on the bottom.
The upper left. That's why the shadows are going this way.
Yeah.
So it's going from the left, and so it looks like you did hit some shadow down here anyway. But I would just kind of group that a little bit.
Darken
more.
it. Yeah. Okay.
So it just feels like a. I think that would be kind of fun. But that's about it. Nice grouping the way you did all this. Now, some of these little twigs here are a little. I might extend them a little bit, just very thinly, just make them a little longer.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple of small broken ones are fine, but then a couple of long ones too, I think. Yeah. Okay. That's about all I see. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Teresa, you got that one, and that one. You got the paper. Oh boy. Look how loosey-goosey that is. How did you like it? Did you have some fun? It looks like you did.
I did have some fun. It was, but if you look, I just have, it's still puddling, Rob. It's just still going places.
That's great.
Anyway, it's sort of startling when you're up close, but when you look at it in a picture, it looks quite different.
Yeah. Well, you'll see. It'll dry different. That's what it's kind of like watching a movie. You wait for the whole thing to play out, you know? Yeah.
And there's one thing about the puddles is the puddles sort of create hard edges places that you maybe don't necessarily want them. I don't know what to do.
Right, and that's what I did with the clouds, like you did too. Just break them down. Just break them down. I mean, it's something you have to keep your eye on it and see how dry it is. Then I just break them down. And I can see your middle tree. What do you think about possibly casting a shadow over the bottoms of these a little bit?
Yeah, I can certainly see that.
Yeah, because this one's in shadow. These are in light. Looks like it might be something like that. And then I, again, reinforce this shadow here a little darker. And you can just keep what you have underneath. A little darker.
Just do it with clays of some sort. What
Yeah.
would you more darker green or a bluish, or what would you recommend for a glaze there?
I used magenta. I mean, I used violet, so I made it out of ultramarine blue and magenta.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and then again, I went and softened my edges after it dried up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just soft, so it wasn't so rigid. But that gives a little more drama.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, one could even argue the bottoms of these if it's something that some idea you might want to think about. Not necessary. So this one casts to this one, to these ones. It's an idea.
Okay.
Yeah. And I might use the same color on all of them, like that sort of violet on all of them.
Okay, well, before you go, let me try to take a picture of that.
Okay.
So I can see
It's a good idea.
your suggestions. Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. And Gina. Ooh, look at all that blue in your shadows. Wow. That's wonderful.
This is
Love
all,
it.
this is all quite a bit lighter than the actual picture is. The photo made it much brighter.
Yeah. Well, look at that intricate palette knife working. Wow. It's fun to look at them like really up close.
So lively. It's really great.
Beautiful. Really comes together.
Leaves are really nice with palette knife. It's fun to do.
Yeah.
You can just sloop them on and you get all those marks without even trying.
I gotta write that word down. Schloop. Schloop. Was that schloop? Excuse me. How do
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, great edges, great color. Yeah, you're taking a lot of liberties with your lights, and I like that, you know. I love the orange you're throwing in the light. Kind of breaks up all the yellow.
Yeah.
And your clouds, fantastic clouds. Look how quick you did them, too. I can tell you just whipped those right on there.
Yeah, well, I did all the background first.
Yeah.
Acrylic, it's easy.
Now, did you let it dry or did you care?
I let it dry a little bit, but you know, when I started on the left-hand side, and by the time I got over to the right-hand side, it was pretty darn dry.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot about even when you're working thick on acrylics, they'll dry at different timings. So as you palette knife over them, you get a little different. Sometimes when it's dry underneath, you get these stiff edges when you go over it.
Yeah.
As opposed to when it's like semi-wet. So.
If it's thick, it's harder to like doing the tree trunks was harder when it was dry because you can't. The paint underneath is thick and you can't get the edges to.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that's exciting is all the variety you have in your colors. You know, you have, I'm seeing the reds in here and the oranges. When you do these blacks, what color are you using?
It's blue. It's a lot of Prussian blue with some red in it and maybe a tiny yellow, but it's mostly Prussian blue.
Yeah.
A lot of black in it.
That's why you get all these little subtle violets and things in there because it's just black. You can get it with black, but you have to add it to the black. I've done it and I liked it, but I have a lot better luck using colors to come up with my darks. All right. Thank you so much. It was a nice one.
Thank you.
Diane. So what do you think of the paper, Diane?
Hi, Rob.
Hi.
It was fun, actually. I mean, I got all those blobs and uncontrollable spots and whatever, but I just went with it and just kind of enjoyed working on something new and just learning about it. So I want to do some more on this.
I know. And you can do it anytime you want. Any of my classes, I certainly don't mind. I just want to always leave that option open to you, anybody. If you want to try a new technique, you don't have to wait for me to demonstrate it. You can try it.
Okay.
But when I do a new technique like this, we can kind of get into the, the ins and outs of it.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't want to really try it until you had all that granulation or whatever. Oh
wow, now how are you getting it to granulate like that?
I have no idea. I think I went over it a few times because I thought I was trying to smooth it out, and it obviously didn't smooth out, and then it left all that sediment, like you said, so.
Do you think it's the paper?
Yes.
Oh.
It's the paper actually coming up, huh?
Oh, I was disturbing I see.
Yeah, but who cares? It looks good.
Said it was made from, it's made from minerals, right?
Isn't that weird?
Oh, I'm stirring it all up. Didn't
stirring
realize
up the
it.
minerals. I'll have to make a little experiment and rub on the paper a little bit. Did you rub on the paper a lot, or?
Well, I mean, I kind of, I guess with my brush, trying to smooth things out.
Huh.
But you know what? When I rub my finger over the sky area now, it's finally dried. I can feel it. I can feel like little pieces coming up. I mean, I can feel little pieces on my finger.
Huh.
So, weird.
Well, it looks kind of good. I mean,
well, I didn't want that for the sky. I mean, would have been better for the ground or the trees.
We should have tried salt in it and see what that pushes things away, though, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, that's, live and
nice
learn.
color. And look at the color in your shadows. It's sort of a neutral violet.
Yeah. I wanted to go something really complementary or really opposite. So I thought I'd had fun. And I tried actually dry brushing in those areas. So you can kind of see.
That's something I didn't do any dry brushing. I don't know why.
Decided to try it, and it worked on that tree.
Yeah. It looks good. You did some scratching out down there.
Really gentle feeling. It's really nice.
That I didn't scratch. Well, I did a little scratching, but that I just got the tip of the brush and just flicked it up to make those little grasses.
Oh,
Just to give it some texture. Everything was so blobby that I decided, well, I should probably give it some texture. So I had to really wait till that dried, and that worked out. So I don't know why I should not have gone back into the sky, basically. I should have left the sky alone.
So now I'm wondering if I put down a tone and let it dry and then rub back into it, am I going to get that? So
if you rub back into it like 3 times or so, like I did, you probably will.
Hey, is Mitsuko there? I wonder if Mitsuko knows.
Yes, yes, it does. Mine has that too.
So is that from letting it dry and then rubbing back into it?
Maybe so, because I did like 3 times on the sky, and at the end I had the same thing as Diane has.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
See,
but
I don't think it's a bad thing. I just want to know how to do it. Yeah. I like anything that gives me an idea. Like maybe I'll want granulation in, like heavy granulation in an area. Maybe that's what you do. So just remember, anything that you can view as a negative could also be a positive.
Okay.
Yeah. that's something about one thing. It's probably a life philosophy too. But I mean, in painting, it really does work. Oftentimes I'll look at a problem and go, that could be a good thing. So anyway, okay.
Well, thank you.
I'm wondering, can you use a hair dryer with that mineral paper, or does it move the paint around too much?
It'll probably move it around too much, but if you use a gentle hair dryer, you know what I used to use? I actually still have it. You know those heaters with a little bit of a fan in it, a small fan? It doesn't really come out really dramatic. That's a good. If you use one of those next to where you're working, you might sweat a lot, but no, but it'll dry things a lot faster. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does that say college, Louisa?
Oh, that's my email, yeah.
Oh. All right.
This is on cold press.
Right.
On hot press.
So right now, let's see. I'm just wanting some shadow down below, because you see how the sky and what's down below are about the same value. So here's what I was thinking. Just maybe. A little something down there for that strip.
Right.
And then now it looks like now there's two levels. So this one right back here would be on a little higher level. So then I would probably throw a little more shadow back there. Maybe you'll want some light though.
I wanted a kind of a path, separating two. That this would be snow, but you're right, it would be in the shade.
I'm just thinking possibly maybe this tree is casting a little bit onto here.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I might do these in like a violet or a blue, or like a blue violet or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And those kind of colors. Just for some drama.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah, I did use similar colors, including rose ochre in the sky and below, because I thought it'd be a reflection on the snow. The sky would be replicated in the snow.
Yeah. Oh, no, that could be what threw you. Yeah.
But you're right, it has to be more in the shade below than, and I wanted the sky pale as opposed to darker, because because for me, this is a winter scene.
Yeah.
And the winter skies are, very grayish pale. And I don't know, it seems like your kind of sky is warmer, it's more for summer.
Well, wait. What do you know about winters? You're from where? Canada? Yeah, I think you know a little bit more about these things than we do. No, one thing I was noticing though, that because you're looking up at the trees, it looks like the camera is way down, looking way up. So when you look up into the sky, you usually get something darker. But you're right. Oftentimes in winter, you might get that. What do they call that? It's when there's almost frost in the sky or something.
Exactly. You can feel the cold just looking at the sky. Yeah. And I was playing around, if you notice the yellows.
Yeah, I noticed the yellows, yeah.
The top of the trees, and then I put some down below as well.
Yeah.
So I
like that area.
You like that?
I like that play of light right there, yeah.
Yeah. So I was trying to play with that, and with the tree on the right being very much in the light.
Okay.
As opposed to the tree on the left, which is very much in the dark. And then you see a path. I don't know if that's a mistake because it's pretty much in the middle.
This?
No, the vertical path.
Oh, this, yeah.
The vertical path, no, that's the shadow.
Oh, I see it there. I see it.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a mistake. Now I'm seeing it right in the smack middle.
Well, it's not really a mistake. I mean, I didn't even notice it until you pointed it out.
Well, I was thinking maybe, I'm thinking about composition, maybe it would lead the eye into the composition, but I don't know. I don't think it works really, and I don't know why.
Well, let's say it's made out of dirt. I think, let's say, for instance, you took a dirt color over it, like.
Yeah, well, I was thinking it was snow. It was a snow.
Oh, okay. Well, then, I mean, the other, so it's a path made out of snow. Okay.
You're right. It's a path made out of snow, and I thought there was some kind of rays or flights coming across it.
Okay, then maybe what would happen is this. Your shadow, let's try a shadow. I'll do it in blue. If this is your light and you wanted, your shadow would go up and then across the path and then maybe up the hill again.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes. Now that you...
And so would your light too.
Exactly, of course.
So this light would do the same thing. And then we could come over here and fill these in. And that would give you that sort of
total sense, yeah.
2 or 3 levels of things happening. I think I'm a sucker for that. I love that kind of thing. I love different elevations and planes.
Great. That's what I was trying to do, but thank you so much for that. It's a simple thing, but that's what that makes it work. It makes it work, yes.
Yep, the shadows will describe the form, always.
Now, I have to share with you and the others that I've learned a very, very important lesson today.
What's that?
That I know rationally, intellectually, I know it, but today I experience it more in practice. I was not excited by that photo. And I was thinking, how boring. Look at these boring pines. We're gonna paint those boring pines. And then I had so much fun doing this painting today. and it was not boring at all. And it sort of convinced me that what it's nothing in the photo. It's what is in you and what you make of it. And that's not a new idea. I know this intellectually, but today it was proven to me in practice. So I loved the class today, and I loved painting these trees, and I think I will even do it again. But this, and I don't see the photo as boring anymore.
Isn't that great? Wow. Now someday I'm going to get this really exciting photo, and you're going to go, Rob, get something a little more boring. I mean, come on.
And sometimes you have this very exciting photo, and then you try to do too much like the photo, and you don't do it, as a painter. We don't want to do photos. We want to paint. So, so thank you. Thank you for picking that photo.
Well, thank you. Oh, good. I'm glad. Okay. All right. Let's go on to Julie here. Ooh, yupo. Yeah, that acts very much like this mineral paper.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, huh?
Ooh, I want to get right into it. Look at that. Now, I wonder where a lot of these things are coming from, the little sediments and whatever.
I don't know. I think that with these paints I'm using, I think that one of those blues tends to get granular.
Oh, yeah.
And it could be from that, but I did also go back in and out of it about 1 million times because, I like got it super wet and dried stuff up and super wet and dried stuff up, and I'm just back and forth and, honestly overworked it. But, I was just playing around, so it's okay.
So what? That's what that's the way you find out about any medium is you got to get in there and and just make yourself a whole bunch of problems, so you can solve those problems and realize this is how you solve it. Okay, this is what it does. You don't do that by being correct on everything. You do that by being incorrect on everything, and then finding your little way of correcting it. And everybody does that different. Look at these little negative shapes you got there. They're a nice design. Yeah. I don't know why I wanted to get right up into yours. Probably because of all this. But now yours looks like it's going to take a while to dry.
Oh yeah.
Now yours will even take longer to dry than this paper will. Probably the only thing I could think of that would take longer is maybe just straight plastic with no tooth to it. And it would all probably bead up on the surface. Anyway, nice work. And you got some nice looking shadows on the ground here.
Yeah, I kind of got more color in the more of this golden color, and I sort of abandoned the original trees because, obviously they had more brown and more green and more gray, but I just kind of wanted to, I don't know. I just like the yellow really, so I just keep going with the yellow and.
The reason I wanted to see this small now is because you're getting a great sense of light. Look at the gradation to the top on the one on the left. Even though there's some things that are lighter down here, because they've got blue in them, they feel like shadow. And this feels like light up here, moving down. I'm sort of wondering if you could, if you wanted to, maybe take a glaze after this is all dry, something shadowy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's working nice. So that's completely up to you, but it's in a way, yours is probably harder to do. Maybe we should all try yupo sometime. I have some floating around here somewhere.
Yeah, I think you're right, because what I was thinking with the bottoms of the center trees, is that it was going to get some light because it was going to kick off that light patch in the road.
Oh, okay.
But I put some of the blue like further back in the trees behind it. But I think you're right. I don't think it really sells, and I think it could use a little more darkness in there. You know
what also might help is if you take a little bit of this dark over, as if this tree's overlapping this, almost like you're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
It'll feel more like maybe this tree's a little bit in front of it, which could, I don't know, cast a shadow on it. Again, there's just some ideas.
It's kind of, it was tricky. It's tricky. Yeah, it's tricky because I don't really know how to do it, because when I was trying to go back into the shadows and stuff, basically you can push shadow down, but it picks up the stuff that was already there.
Yeah.
Right? So it's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, if you glaze with this, you have to be very, very, it has to be very dry, and you have to be very, just put it down and leave it. Yeah.
Okay.
Or it'll just pick right up. Much more than this mineral paper. So, all right. Gorgeous work. Thank you.
Thanks.
A really good display of that technique. You went the other way with it. You got even more Lucy than we got. Okay. All right, Toby.
Hey, Rob.
Hello. All right, you got a really broken feeling. I like that. Leaving a lot of white of the paper. You're doing your thing you used to do when you started. With me, anyway. I remember your little dots and stuff.
Right.
Those are cool.
Thank you.
Now, were you interested in putting in a little more shadow?
Yeah. Possibly, sure.
I mean, again, it's a pretty light painting down there, so I mean, you don't. I mean, maybe dramatic shadows that are really dark would be maybe too much. Let's see, you know. So it's an idea. So there's an idea. And besides that, I mean, you're obviously very aware and conscious of these little breaks. And that's interesting because they're kind of in the sky too. They're doing a lot of the same thing. Was that conscious? Did you want that?
Yeah, that's just the way I do trees, you know.
Yeah.
Currently. I kind of like that grouping. I know it looks a little different than in reality, but the tree that gives me pause is the fir that's on the, somehow it just doesn't have the light and shadow qualities it should. And I tried to fix it, but I did some of the things you were talking about, but it's still just kind of one-dimensional.
I think if you threw some shadow on the bottom, your glaze, and then a little bit off to the right, I think it would grow. I think it would do something. I think, yeah. So I think it would add a little drama. You know, maybe not even much off to the right here. Maybe it's just a little bit of something deep at the bottom.
Okay.
And by the way, you know, sometimes when I'm out doing trees and they need something, I'll do that anyway. Because who's to say there's not another tree right next to it casting a shadow on it, you know?
Oh, okay.
So I'll do that kind of thing, even if it's not there. Because I'll do that. You'll see me do that over. If I'm painting in the city or whatever, and there's some steps, I'll take a tree or a pole and define the steps with a shadow, just because it's something that works. So, what's some ideas to think about?
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Gail, let me get my stuff off your stuff. Okay. Hi, Gail.
Hello.
All right. Let's see. Nice color. Love the blue. Love the yellow in there. Got snuck a little red in there. I like that. See, look at all these little sneaks of color. Let's take a look at this. Yeah. Got a little. I like how you went from a blue tree to a really warm tree. Cool. So that's obviously the shadow. A little bit of warm on top. Okay. Now, one thing I'm wondering if we could take some of this. You see how a lot of these feel like they're right on the edge? A lot of these trees almost feel like they're on the edge.
Yeah, they're red. I'm going to have to change the brush.
What I would do is just take a little shadow behind the trees, as if they're, and if they're right next to each other, they will be casting shadows onto each other. So a little bit more of this, little bit more. Like the bottoms might be a little bit more in light, a little bit more in shadow. So think about that. And they really bloat out at the bottom. Whereas pines typically don't do that. They are fatter at the bottom, but I would
trim them,
thin them out just a little bit more.
Okay.
And you're getting some nice looking groupings in here. I'm wondering if we could do a couple more groupings. And if you decide to do some here, I might take a little bit out. So it feels like you did here, you know? So I think that's your design mind telling you they look very well organized, maybe a little too organized inside. So you need to crop into them or take some out. It's the same thing as cropping into something.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you do that, maybe you want to take a lot of this stuff. Just take a whole bunch out. And what about the shadow on the bottom? I don't know if you want that light burst, I would hit the shadow a little bit darker.
That looks better.
Yeah, just gives it a little bit of drama. Uh-oh. What? Do you guys see this? Something's on my, oh, okay. Wow, that was weird. Something just took over my computer. Did you guys happen to just see that? It just flashed up on my screen?
I didn't see it.
Oh, okay, good.
No, scary though.
You saw it?
No, but that would be scary.
Oh, it was just the news. It said news. I'm like, what? I must have hit a button because I don't, oh, maybe I hit this little, oh, okay, that's what it tells me the weather. Okay. Never seen that before. Okay. And that's about it. I'm thinking, now, did you want the sky to be that light? I was thinking maybe a little darker up here at the top.
Yeah, I can add some.
Yeah, just keep it lighter at the bottom so you get this gradation. All right. Okay.
Agreed. Thanks, Rod.
Thank you. And Henry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Should I do it again?
Can you give me another one?
Oh, I'll send you again, Rob.
Okay. I'll just move on to Alicia here. I'll come back to Henry. Okay, Alicia.
Hi, okay.
We're on the cold press paper, huh?
No, that hot press.
Oh, top press. Oh, okay. Yeah, because you're getting some puddling.
Is that what hot press does?
Yeah. I like your sky too. That's nice. You see a couple little darks up in the sky on the top. Just make it feel like it's a little, like you're looking more up into things. It's a nice move. And I'm thinking maybe, what do you think about maybe glazing a little bit of shadow onto this? So we just slowly go from shadow to light on this one. And I'm also thinking possibly maybe your shadows on the ground could be grouped. And so oftentimes when I have a lot of dark in an area and a lot of light, it begins to feel not so much like a shadow. It begins to feel a little scattered. What I'll do is I'll put a glaze over it like that. So this is just symbolizing a glaze. And that's just there just to give the feeling of a shadow. So you're not really getting rid of it, what you have there already. You're just sort of grouping it. So that's one thing I would do. And sometimes, like I said on the other side, it's possible you could want to ride that up onto your tree a little bit. So it gives you the feeling that, oh, okay, maybe with softer edges, but yeah. And it's also possible that this tree could be casting a little bit of a shadow onto these, so that's totally up to you. But it's an idea. I mean, I'd probably do it. You get the light one in the middle. Probably he would be in shadow. So it's just the tops of the. I saw this all. When I was out for my little hike this morning, I kept seeing this over and over. I did take a few pictures too. But that's about it. Yeah, now you're doing what Gail did. So, I mean, they're all on the edge, but I think what you did is you have such a soft edge that it doesn't necessarily feel that way. So I might, maybe back here, might soften that edge a little bit, or maybe even bring a little bit of land in back of it, just a little bit more. So anyway, it's a thought. All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Now let's see, Henry's not here yet. Maybe I need to redo my thing yet. Okay. Mitsuko. Ooh. Wow. Now you put that white down there too. Nice. A little dry brushing.
Yes, yes. I always use white.
And I like how some of your tree limbs feel like they're coming at us.
Oh,
Look at
really?
this one right here. Because of the line, here's where the puddle effect really worked in your favor. Because of the lines going around it, makes it feel like it's coming at us.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, like this one feels like it's going to the side, but like this one over here feels like it's more coming at us, more foreshortened, which is it's a great advantage. It's something to take a mental note of, everybody. You know, if you need some foreshortening, wow. Could you imagine planning your puddle marks for foreshortening? I mean, that would be pretty advanced, pretty darn advanced watercolor, or shall I say mineral paper color. Okay. Yeah, let's see, now you just let it spill out. You know, you're more experienced, so you don't mind when things like this happen. A little
right. I just leave it.
Nice.
Yeah, leave it there.
Yeah.
Because each time if you touch, it goes different thing.
Plus, it looks really intuitive. I like the color you used on the trunks.
Trunks?
Yeah, you really got that color nice. It looks like you touched it up with a little bit of touches of highlights.
Yes, a white. And I use a gold and at the end, at the bottom.
Is it actually metallic or?
No. I'm the gold at the on the ground.
Yeah. Looks like quinacridone, or is it quinacridone or?
No, it's part of the kuretake, the Japanese colors.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I love these violets you have in this tree too, on the left. I think it's a nice piece.
Oh, thank you so much, Rob.
You're welcome. I mean, I don't really have any suggestions. I mean, if you want to throw some more shadows, it looks like you sort of consciously didn't put them in, and I think that's just fine.
Okay, just want to use that gold.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Oh, then, did you drop a little bit on this? It looks like you tried a little bit in the clouds.
Yes, I put, that's, I think, yellowish.
Okay.
It just darkened, that the color, put it.
Yeah, just to break up the pure white.
Right.
That's the look. That's the look we're looking for. Yeah, you look at, see, she got it in her sky too, so that I think the middle just does that.
Right.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. There's Henry. All right, and then she did another one. Okay. Oh, you did some dry brush? No, this is on cold press. Yeah.
No, actually, it's on Chinese rice paper.
Oh, this is rice paper.
Yes, absorbent paper.
We should do some rice paper, you guys.
Yeah,
and I didn't have very
think,
much experience. And then one day at a workshop, Henry gave me some rice paper, and I had a hard time with it in the beginning because it just really absorbs. And then you get into it, you start figuring it out. It's interesting stuff.
Yeah, later I kept experimenting with the resist. And it's fun to do the snow also.
In a way, rice paper is sort of unforgiving because you really have to just put it down and that's it.
You just, yeah, exactly. You have to commit to it. Cannot lift. That's the only thing different. Other than that, there's not much difference. There's water management. You have to control the dryness of or wetness of the paper and the brush and the speed. Yeah.
Water management, I like that.
And the best part of that is I painted the sky on the back side so it will not cover
no way
the front. Because it penetrates through.
The sky's actually coming through from the back?
Exactly.
That is, I don't even think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, that you couldn't do it on any watercolor paper because it's not penetrates through, right? Yeah. I mounted it with a silicone dry mounting paper, so now it's on a piece of drawing paper. But I still can work on the front if I need. Sometimes I wash the back first to show the texture of the fiber of the rice paper. You know, sometimes it comes with a stringy fiber, and then I will mount it on regular watercolor and then paint it on the front. Yeah, so it's painted on both sides.
Wow, and
but the whole concept is still Western watercolor today. I didn't really paint with the calligraphy, but still, that's my signature. I think.
It's fine.
Line work is. I started to write just like you did.
Yeah.
I did use.
I like the dry brushing too.
Yeah, that's ink. A little bit ink because I can't help to apply the dark with ink.
Yeah. Yeah, it just sort of defines things.
Right.
Here and there, very delicate. I love the way I call it lacing. You sort of laced it around and around.
Yeah.
It's not
each
hard outline.
Each layer perform a little bit in the wholeness of it. So we don't really complete with any layer. Just have to combine different, accumulate. We call that the accumulation of layers.
Yeah. Yeah, and then coming through from behind. Wow, that.
Yeah, I had the same feeling that in the beginning I thought this is a boring photo reference, but I feel more and more fun to do it on my own. I thank you for the openness of attitude towards anything.
Great. And by the way, I just want to say this tree off of here to the right is just fantastic. It's got so many abstract qualities to it. It's beautiful.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great talk. Enjoyed.
I'm glad. All right, Betsy.
I'm here, yeah.
So you tried you even hit some white on those limbs. Cool. That's a great. And then usually when I hit the white on them, maybe you didn't have enough time, but usually I'll let the white dry completely, and then I'll glaze a little bit of hints of color here and there onto them.
Okay.
Same down here. Are these white too? Yeah.
Yes.
So then I might, if you wanted them to feel like they're more in shadow, you could glaze something in the cool family. Maybe I'll just, so you wouldn't be killing the, so they still feel light, but they feel like they're in the shadow.
Right.
So I might, if you wanted that would be how I'd do that. And then love this interplay of the lights and the pulling the shadow around the form of the tree. Really shows off the form of the tree. And look at, she only has one in there, and look how effective it is. You don't need very many. But oftentimes when I have foliage overlapping a tree trunk or whatever, I'll throw a little tree. So if we have some like this, I might get a little shadow in there.
Okay.
Here and there. It's a nice composition. I love the light on the dark here. Is that you or is that someone else?
Not me, it's someone else.
You guys, somebody, could you turn that off? Oh, probably left the room, huh?
Yeah. I added some dark blue next to the main trees, white area.
Yeah. Here, I'll have to shut this off. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me. Did they turn that off? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
It looks like Katie's microphone is on still. Katie.
Okay, you gotta. Thank you. I got it. And okay, thank you, Betsy.
Okay, great.
All right, Teresa, we did, and Henry and Hector. Hector, okay, Hector. You there, Hector?
Yes, I am.
Oh, you're having some.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're having some good painting days lately. That the lavender one you did last time, and this one are just looking beautiful. Look at those silhouettes. I love it when I look at these really small. You know what it is? You're really good at grouping your masses. So because he groups his masses, look how much the paint is allowed to flow. That's the big lesson. And Hector's really good at this, so it's something to look at, but he's got this big giant area where the paint is just allowed to flow. And he gets the realism because of the edges. See, it's the edges. And this edge right here is, I'm telling you, that is a person at one with nature. Look at that. Look at that edge. It's so in keeping with nature. It has this beautiful abstract quality to it. I mean,
when I first started, Rob, that's all I go, how do I paint every leaf? How do I do that? That was my challenge. That I wanted to get the feeling of leaves without painting every leaf.
Yeah.
That's what I worked on. I just kept working on that. It took a while to understand that. And grouping and tying in.
Yeah.
Tying in the groups.
Tying together. I love how you have this really passive area here where the paint's just allowed to flow. And then right next to it, you have this extremely active area with all this contrast. It's just, that's dynamic.
Thank you.
What it does is anyone who's looking at it, anyone who's looking at your piece it attracts the eye. It's design. It's what designers all know. It's another duality of passive and active right next to each other. So we do the same thing with warm and cool or light and dark. You're doing it here with a very sort of.
And it comes from yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, your intuition knows it all.
I get excited looking at it, go, oh yeah, that's cool. It's nothing but ooze. Not really inside. I'm not really voicing it, but I'm going,
Right.
oh, that's interesting. I love that. I keep doing, yeah.
I think, Hector, one thing you're, and maybe you got it from music, maybe you've just always been this way, but you're able to tap into your intuition and just let it go, let it be itself.
Yeah.
And that's a gift.
And I'm intuitive aware of harmony.
Yeah.
And of color and movement and rhythm. It's all part of music.
Ah, absolutely.
I know a lot of people hate to have music playing when they're playing. I know we've done that. I've had problems with people saying, can you turn that off?
Yeah.
So, but I just feel they're not fully in touch with their self.
Hector, what kind of music do you think that you could have?
Well, you know,
yes.
We know Gilberto Gilbert.
Oh.
I would have used more reds if it in Brazilian.
I wonder what you'd. I'd like to see what you'd paint if you were listening to like the Clash.
Oh,
with the Dead Kennedy,
yeah,
Black Flag. I was like, who are they, Rob?
Yeah, really.
Punk.
This is beautiful.
Yeah, it's awesome. Beautiful. Very intuitive.
But I'm getting all my inspiration from the photo. If you look at the photo, those beautiful colors, that bottom area is just gorgeous. That's what I was trying to get.
It is.
It's really
just to let you guys know, that little burst of light in the photograph, I photoshopped that.
Wow, it's beautiful, Rob.
Because it's actually just a photo with a shadow down there, but I just dodged that area out and then added a little bit of warmth to it.
That was one of the parts of the painting that the more I looked at it, I go, oh, this is a neat photo.
Needs some drama. Yeah, but I liked it. Well, thank you, Hector.
Well, thank you, Rob.
You're welcome. You know, one other thing I'd like to say. Oh, yeah, there's George. Okay. Oh, there's Shelley. Okay, sorry. I'll do George first since he's here. I'll do Shelley next. I was just gonna say one other thing about Hector is that, you know, when we go out painting, everybody always. I mean, I'm talking about people that are stopping by to check out what we're doing. They always gravitate to you. You have this magnetic personality.
It's his big smile.
Yeah. Hi, how you doing?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, George. I gotta say it like, hey, George. All right.
This is warm press, hot press.
Oh, warm press. I was gonna say. I wonder if there is a warm press. You think there would be?
Warm embrace paper.
What was that?
I said like a warm embrace paper. It's not really.
Yes.
Not too.
Maybe if we got a piece of cold press and wet it down and ironed it. I don't know.
That'd be warm press. Yeah.
Maybe. Okay. All right. So we got our masses, nice containing of shapes. Right. You got your active area right here. Now, what? Oh, you're just on cold press, right? Yeah.
No, hot press.
Sorry, you're on hot press. I'm sorry. And all right. What do you think? Well, let me see here. Whoops. What did I do? There we go. Now I'm thinking possibly a little more shadow. On
the
this
ground.
side. And then maybe, I'm definitely getting the shadow feeling on this. But I would think that this side would be more in shadow too. And then what do you think about taking a little bit more down here on this? Just with a glaze. Like a violet or something glaze.
I put violet in the ground.
Or whatever color. So there's some ideas. These darks are, I know that oftentimes this thing reads the darks as really dark, so they're just reading so black to me, though. I'm wondering if they maybe lighten them up a little bit.
Yeah. I'm looking at the painting now, but I don't have any lights on because I have no electricity. So, but it doesn't look as dark as it does in the photo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But maybe with light on it, it would.
Yeah.
That was just daylight on the photo.
So what do you also think about, you notice how your foliage here on this tree right here? You notice how all the foliage stops right where this tree starts?
Yeah, and that just happened.
So then,
because I put that was the last thing I did, the dead tree.
Oh,
and
okay. So that's
it covered up the edges. I noticed that now as I've been looking at the painting. Yeah, it covered up all the edges of the.
You got a couple back there.
Yeah.
Like this one. I would just pull a couple a little bit more. So you have
on the other on the other side of the dead tree. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of those right there. That's about it. I mean, what do you think about softening the edges of your white cloud?
The cloud, yeah.
Just a little, like this one right here. See how you soften that edge? Something like that.
Yeah, that just happened. I was thinking of even putting white gouache on that cloud. So
that'll be nice. And then you can float it into the background if you like. You can float it up here if you like. You know.
Yeah.
It'd be really nice. So.
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And there's Shelley. All right, Shelley. Nice color.
Hi, Rob.
I like that blue in the background instantly. It just makes it feel like a grouping of trees way in the distance without literally depicting it. Just the color makes you feel like there's something back there. That's a good move. Great design move. I mean, it gives us a sense of a feeling of distance. And your trees, the way you did the trunks, fantastic. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, do you have any questions? It's awesome.
I tried to knock down the clouds in the background so that the tree so there wasn't quite so much contrast, and the tree would be lighter in value, but I don't know.
Oh, I see. So you made the background lighter?
Well, no, it was white.
Okay.
It had a gradation to white, and it was too much contrast over there.
Yeah.
The tree didn't look lit. I still don't even know that I got that yet. Whatever.
That's it does.
That's what I'd like.
One? Yeah.
Photo.
Yeah, it feels like it's lit. I mean, for those of us, this is a really simple painting. You know, there's nothing extremely complex going on here. And yet, this is one of those paintings like where my grandma used to say, the simple paintings are always the best paintings. because you said what you needed to say and you got out of there in time before you ruined it, you know? It's nice. Yeah. There's something about saying something and then walking away. You know, if you ever meet anybody that does that, they say something. My dad was the master of that.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh. When he'd say something, you'd just go, oh, what? Oh, because he said something. He didn't say that very much. But when he did say something, it was always like perfectly timed. Anyway.
Well, it was a interesting photograph. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is a really nice one. Hang on to that.
Thanks, Rob.
All right. Did I get everybody? Did I miss someone? All right then.
Thank you very much.
Excellent day, everybody.
Thank you, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
All right. Great day.
Bye,
Awesome.
everybody.
Bye.
Yes.
Very good day.
It was wonderful.
Bye.
Bye.
I really like that day. All right.